What is up, guys? Welcome to another video, and today we are back for another Ask Hippo because it has been a very long time since we've done one of these videos. So what I went ahead and did is I went on Twitter and I asked you guys to ask me a bunch of questions, keeping them Need for Speed related, and we got a shit ton. If you don't already follow me on Twitter, the link is down in the description. I do apologize, I'm not going to be able to answer every single question, but there was a lot of overlapping questions, so hopefully your question gets answered indirectly. If it doesn't get answered, make sure you go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below, because I will be paying close attention to the comment section of this video. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into the first question. So the first question comes from CrazyMan2K00, and his question is, do you think they should have off-roading in the next Need for Speed game? And also, what do you think of the upgrade system to making cars to 399? And a follow-up with that from Dr. Taps is, can you go more in depth about why you don't like off-roading in Payback? So if you didn't watch my review, you wouldn't know that I just don't like off-roading in Payback. It's one of those things I just hate. It's so bad. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go into in-depth why I don't like off-roading, and then talk about the upgrade system and if I think it should be in the next one. The reason why I don't like the off-roading physics in the game is purely because they're broken. It feels like it's 2015 again. The constant fishtailing of cars makes it feel uncontrollable and unstable. I can't 100% control my car during off-road races, and that is a problem. I understand when you're off-road, your car is going to be a bit more slidey, a bit more uncontrollable, and that makes 100% sense. I completely get it. Like that, I get it. I understand what that means. But at the same time, just because we're off-road and just because, you know, we're on dirt doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to control my car. If that was the case, we wouldn't have rally as a race type in FIA. Like, we wouldn't have the WRC events we have. If people couldn't control their cars, this wouldn't be a profession for hundreds of people. Regardless, whether on-road, off-road, or whatever, I should be able to control my car, and I can't in Need for Speed Payback, and it needs to go. Instead of focusing on so many things, which I feel like they've done, they focus on drag, drift, grip, off-road. They should just focus on road. Just instead of focusing on all these different things. Drag and drift I can kind of understand. It's a bit easier, a bit more simple. But with off-road, you've literally got to recreate another handling model. Instead of doing that, bin it and just focus on the on-road. Make sure the grip is as good as it possibly can be, instead of, you know, brake drift dominating the game. Make sure that the drifting mechanics are good, and make sure, you know, cars are balanced. You don't need to do the off-roading. It's too overly ambitious, and it's just a waste of time, because I personally don't know anyone that even asked for off-roading. For me, in the last game, what people wanted from the physics was a complete overhaul to the grip stuff. That's what I understood. You know, people weren't asking and dying for off-road stuff, and that's how I see it. As for what do I think of the upgrade system and what do I think of off-roading in the next game, again, I'm going to go ahead and kind of direct you to my review, because I talk about everything about that there. In short, no, I don't want to see it in the next game, and I don't mind the upgrade system, although I would prefer a Need for Speed 2015 system, maybe with a bit more expensive parts. But again, if you want to hear more in-depth opinions about those two things, I'd go ahead and put a link in the description to the review, where I go through everything in massive detail. The next question I get is quite a common question I get, and it's regarding how to grow your YouTube channel, because obviously I'm not really big, but like I've been doing it for a while, so I guess people are interested in what I have to say. There's no real easy quick answer, to be honest. I've been doing this for like 7 years now, over 7 years at this point, and it's one of those things, just start making videos if you want to. You'll find out whether you enjoy it or not, and if you enjoy it, carry on doing it, and if you want to eventually take it somewhere and you find that, you know, this is something that you want to do long term, then just carry on doing it. I'm one of those people that kind of believes that if you do YouTube, you know, enough, and if you adapt and evolve, this can truly be a very, very long-term thing. I know a lot of people don't have that same mentality, and hopefully I am evolving with the times. Again, it's one of those things you can't really tell being so small. But honestly, just other than be different and act like yourself, there's not much else you can do. YouTube is a platform where people will always be more interested in what you have to say over the content you're watching. And if the content you're watching kind of overrides your personality, then there's something going wrong. Obviously with me, I'm always going to get more Need for Speed Payback views than I would a Forza video, and that's just inevitable because of the type of channel I am. Obviously that can change over time, and it probably will, you know. Obviously now I'm going to get more views on Payback stuff compared to in the summer when I'm doing all types of things like I did in the last summer. Like, I made videos on all types of things in the last summer, and it pretty much did a constant through all of it. But like, other than that, and other than, you know, capitalizing on new games and new things which come out, all I've already got to say is just be yourself, be creative, and that's it really. Quite a generic cop-out answer, but at the same time, it's really not that complicated. It's a patience game, and your time will come if you make good content, and that's what I believe personally. I've been doing this for 7 years, and I believe I make quite good content, so hopefully my time will come sooner rather than later. The next question comes from Juan, and his question is, what things would you like to see implemented into free roam cops if they were added in this game, I assume? So many things I would like to see in the cops. Again, I'm going to go ahead and refer a lot to my review in this, so again, the link is down in the description if you want to hear everything in bulk, but just to go over it quickly, heat levels need to be a thing. Why they aren't a thing already, I don't know. 1 to 5, simple way of doing it. You get your first ones, which are your Crown Vics, your second ones, which are like maybe your undercover Crown Vics, your third ones, which are the Chargers, and then you get, you know, your Corvettes, and then maybe you get undercover Corvettes and Rhinos. Something across those lines, that's what I want to see. I don't want to repeat myself because, again, a lot of people who've already seen the review will know what I'm talking about, you know, with the kind of stuff with the Rhinos, where it says Rhino incoming and it pops up on the screen, and the spike strips, re-inflating your tires after a certain time. All that needs to go. I wouldn't mind having like little mini challenges like there was back in Need to Be Most Wanted, so like, you know, get a certain cost of state, you know, break so many buildings. all that kind of stuff is what I want to see, basically. And this kind of more of a kind of throwback to what we had back in the older games like Carbon and Most Wanted. I thoroughly believe we need to move on from those times, but taking cues like that and implementing it into this would work 100%. I thoroughly believe the police system in those games was 100% better. So I'm kind of taking some cues from that, putting it in this game. Also having a busted meter would be pretty cool, and impound slots. I do think there's multiple things which have them 100 times better, you know, compared to Most Wanted and compared to Carbon. But I also do think those games are legendary for a reason, and those games that do have cues which Payback can take from and going forward. And that's one thing which I do thoroughly believe. But yeah, pretty much everything I said there, really. Next question comes from Spooky Boy, and his question is, if you could change anything in Speedless, what would you change? And this is going to be, again, a very long one, and like I said, I'm going to go ahead and refer you guys to my review. A lot of the things I've already said, well, I probably said in there, but again, I'll give a kind of quick answer. One thing, the number one thing that needs to be fixed in Speedless is non-contact in ranked. Why on earth this hasn't been fixed, I don't know. I actually don't understand. A ranked mode where everyone's ramming each other is not competitive. Give me non-contact. That solves quite literally all of my problems. If I want to get nitpicky, the Regera needs to be nerfed. As we all know, the RSR needs to be nerfed, and cars need to be ranked by tier and actually kind of searched by tier through matchmaking. Those types of things. Again, everything I just said in my review, the game needs to be more polished. I can tell they've been overly ambitious and they've not done what they want to do on time, and that's completely me saying that. I can tell overall that this was a lot for them to do, and I think as a whole, as a general consensus, again, the next game, I would like to see it more polished and more kind of direct and a lot more just specific. You know, a lot more homegrown, a lot more grassroots, a lot more underground. The next question comes from Simon Hudak, and this kind of blends in with the Speedless question. He says, when is Undefeated going to start? So, again, if you've been subscribed to my channel very, very recently, you won't know what Undefeated is. Again, I'll pop a playlist down in the description to some of the seasons I've done of Undefeated. But essentially, it's a series where I take, you know, a car and use it for a season on Need for Speed Online and see how long I can remain undefeated. It's pretty self-explanatory. The reason why I haven't done it yet on Payback, because it's not gone anywhere. I haven't done it in a while because I was waiting for Payback. But it hasn't gone anywhere. The reason why I haven't done Undefeated is because I'm not touching it till the actual playlist and the speed lists are sorted. I'm not going to go into speed lists using an RSR or a Regera, but chances are, if I get a highway race with one of those two cars, and say I'm in my Huayra, it's almost impossible for me to win. You know, with the last game, there was ways around it. Because the tracks were all city tracks and they were so twisty-turny, I could mess up anyone in my R32. It was no question. But this time round, it's not really the case. It's a lot harder, and it's one of those things I don't really want to do Undefeated until they actually fix Speedless. It's one of those series that I'm in no rush to do, and it's one of my little baby projects, like my baby little mini projects. When it comes round, you'll know it's coming round, and it's going to be a huge thing. But it's one of those things, I don't really want to do it when there's such glaring issues as these, and until those are fixed, I won't be doing Undefeated. But once it's done, you know, we'll be there, and hopefully, I beg to God, Ghost put the R32 GTR to 399 so I can actually use it in the first season. The next question comes from Italia, and his question is, what is your DLC wishlist for Payback? And I got so many questions regarding DLC. Right, so I'm going to quickly run down just a few ideas off the top of my head. I've not wrote anything down, but these are just a few things that I want to see personally. New cars, and I want to see them paid. I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, do you want to see more classic cars in Need for Speed? No, I want to see more JDM cars in Need for Speed now. I feel like they've got the variation, you know, with the Golf GCI and with, you know, all the other hatches and classic muscle like 69 Camaros. I want to see more Jap stuff now. You guys have got what you wanted. You're happy. You've got the complaints from the last game from the car list. Now let's go back and get some more Japanese cars in the game, you know, S14s. Maybe let's get some more parts for existing cars, you know, as car packs come out, maybe you could put some free parts in there for people that aren't going to buy the DLC. That would be really cool. You know, even some Euro stuff like an E36 M3, those kind of things are the things I want to see. R33 GTR is something which the community have been asking for a lot. I don't want to see any classics, to be honest, nor do I really want to see any more American muscle. I want to see them strengthen the kind of underground section of the car list. I think they've got plenty of supercars and hypercars. I think honestly at this point the hypercars are kind of dominating the car list. So I want to see more lower end cars kind of be added. For example, like the E36 M3, like the S14s and those types of things. And one question I got a lot, I know this is something which a lot of people were interested in, was regarding story DLC. I'm not sure if I actually touched on it earlier. I may have already touched on this earlier. I actually can't remember. But I don't want to see any story DLC come up. It's one of those things. I thought the story was trash. If you watch my review, you know what I'm talking about. I didn't relate with any of the characters. I genuinely thought 2015 was better because it actually made sense. For me, Payback's story was 2015, but just with a bad guy. That's not a good thing, because it didn't make sense. At least 2015's made sense. You know, I still don't really understand what I know it was a simple revenge plot and I get it, but there's just so many loopholes and so many plot holes as a whole. I just don't like it. I want to see all the characters been. You don't need to progress with these characters any further. I would love to see Travis come back from the last game. I thought he was one of the best characters Ghost have kind of made, you know, during their tenure. No, please, save me from story DLC, please. Other than that, you know, the car DLC, like I said, I would love to see that come back. I know a lot of people were asking about specific cars I want to see, and I kind of already touched on that. There's not really any specific cars I'd like to see. Just some older stuff, generally. I wouldn't even mind older exotics, to be fair, like an old Cayman. That would be really cool, or maybe like a Clio V6, like the wide body Clio V6. That would be really cool. Again, updates to just the speed list and stuff as free DLC. So like, you know, cops and robbers mode, just party modes as a whole, like Infected, King, and then obviously all the issues that we have currently brushed out through patches. That is something I definitely want to see. I'd love to see a wages and pink slips DLC. I know that's a legal minefield with microtransactions, but again, in the future, that's something that I think would be really, really cool. I don't really want to see a map expansion as such, because I think the map is already as big as it is. I think they should focus on kind of just perfecting what's currently in the map itself. Other than that, really, I don't think there's much else I'd really want to see. I just want to see them improve on what's already there, to be honest. That's honestly my main thing. Obviously free roam multiplayer is something I want to see. Maybe add something like free burn challenges like we're in Burnout Paradise, because the game is very much kind of suited to that. So like going 120 miles per hour in the oncoming for 3 seconds with your teammates, that would be really cool. Having a clubs mode like Horizon has would be really, really cool, where you can get a bunch of people in your club. Having ghost mode, where like you can actually beat people's times or see people's scores with their ghost on the auto log times. That would be really cool. Again, I've got a bunch of ideas, and I'm going to be feeding all this back to Ghost because I feel like I should, because I've got a lot more of an insight than most, and I've played a lot more Need for Speed than most. Again, I'm not the average player. I've put like almost a week playtime into this game already, and it's been out for what, like 3-4 weeks? That's a bit ridiculous. Anyway, with that being said, that's pretty much it for this video. There was a lot of overlapping questions, so I tried to answer as many as possible, and I hope you guys kind of appreciated that, and I hope you got your question answered. If you didn't, make sure to go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below, because I will be looking at the comments in this video and replying to as many as I can as it goes up. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to go ahead and hit the like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys have been awesome. Stay safe, and peace.